Hello guys, this is chapter 22. I hope you enjoy it. I really don't have much to talk about right now, so we're just gonna go on with the chapter. This is All the Young Dudes by MsKingBean89, chapter 22, second year. The rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the spiders from Mars. Madame Pomfrey was horrified by the state of Remus's skin. Battered frame when he finally went to see her. "What has that woman been doing to you?" she gasped, angrily. "Oh no, I did all this myself." Remus gestured dryly at his bare chest. The nurse tutted, peeling away another bandage. "Yes, but she's barely done anything to treat you. I had no idea Muggle medicine was so primitive. These are magical wounds. They need magical care." Remus nodded tiredly. He'd grown used to the carnage by now. The pain had settled on his shoulders like a heavy burden, one he thought he would probably have to bear. Life was just full of limitations. He simply had more than others. Perhaps that was why he was so drawn to James and Sirius. Madame Pomfrey wanted to observe him overnight, but he refused, grumpily. The full moon was 2 weeks away, and he wanted to sleep in his own bed as much as possible. He walked back to the common room slowly, though he was feeling better than he had in a month. Madame Pomfrey had given him a potion that made him feel loose and comfortable, and pleasantly light-headed. There was no chance of a quiet afternoon, though, for when Remus reached the dormitory, he found Sirius sitting on his bed, the record player and brand new albums spread around him. "Lupin!" He beamed excitedly. "You have to hear this." "Thank Merlin you're here," James groaned from his bed, where he was flipping through a Quidditch magazine. "He's been banging on about that Muggle singer all summer." "He's not a Muggle," Sirius snapped, hands on his hip. "He has to be, Wizard. Has to be. You should have seen the clothes he wears." Remus crossed the room and picked up the record sleeve. He smiled, mildly surprised. "Oh, Bowie. Yeah, I like him. I don't think he's a wizard, though." Sirius looked mildly disappointed that Remus had heard of him, and Remus hurriedly explained. "I've heard Starman a lot on the radio, but no one at St. Eddie's has the album." Placated, Sirius settled the black disc he was holding on to the turntable and fixed the needle in place. James sighed deeply and got up to leaving the room, magazine under his arm. Sirius ignored him, watching Remus's face eagerly as the slow drumbeat began. Remus sat down on the edge of the bed and closed his eyes to listen. It wasn't the same as Electric Warrior. It was darker, moodier. Remus liked it a lot. There was a story in it, though he wasn't sure he understood all the parts yet. At the closing bars of Rock and Roll Suicide reverberated, Sirius lifted the needle and moved it back. "Listen to Suffragette City again. That's my favorite." Remus smiled. He could have guessed that. It was loud and rude, and you could dance to it. "This mellow thigh chicks just put my spine out of place." For himself, he thought he liked Moongage's Daydream best because was weird and spacey, or Lady Stardust because for some reason it reminded him of Sirius. His long black hair, his animal grace, the boy in the bright blue jeans. Remus quickly dismissed the thought. Sure, that Sirius would find it hysterically funny. Once they'd play the album all the way through again, then replayed their favorites. It was almost dinner time. They sat cross-legged together on the bed, poring over the album notes. Maybe he is a wizard, Remus conceded, dreamily. He's not like a normal muggle. Told you, Sirius smirked triumphantly. I'm going to get more, too, all of his albums. T-Rex had a new one, Remus said, slighter. Cool. I wish Mrs. Potter had let us leave Diagon Alley. I even got some muggle money from Gringotts. What is Diagon Alley? Remus asked, though he thought he had some idea from the summer letters. Sirius's eyes widened, as they always did when Remus demonstrated his shocking lack of wizarding knowledge. Bloody hell, Lupin, he tutted. It's a wizard street in London. Muggles can't get in. Like Hogsmeade. Oh, right. It didn't sound that exciting to Remus. Shopping was boring. Where do you get all your stuff? What stuff? School stuff. Your books, your robes. Sirius's eyes darted to the fraying cuffs of Remus's black school robes. His own were brand new, immaculately finished, and cut slightly better than everybody else's. Second-hand, I think. Remus replied. Dumbledore sends them. Don't know how I'd get to a wizard street. I'm not allowed into London alone. Next summer, Sirius said firmly. You have to come to James's place and stay. We can take you to Diagon Alley. You'll love it. You know I can't, Remus said quietly, not making eye contact. We'll sort it, Sirius said, with confidence. Talk to Dumbledore, McGonagall, the Minister of Magic, if we have to. Remus forced a smile, pretending that he believed Sirius. Yeah, great. Thanks, Black. The rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars became the soundtrack to the Gryffindor boys' dormitory for the next week, until even James, who was tone deaf, found himself humming along. Remus had never felt so satisfied and at ease in his entire life. He was away from St. Edmund's, away from grey shirts and matron and locked rooms and troubled boys who wanted to get him. He wasn't covered in bandages, at least for the moment, and until lessons began on Monday, he had all the time he wanted to read, listen to music, and muck about with the Marauders. He spent most of the time catching up on his reading and completing the summer homework they'd been sent. Like a starving man, he devoured every piece of information presented to him, and even went to get more books from the library to investigate farther. He also had to have a number of conversations with James before he could convince him that he had no desire to be the Gryffindor Quidditch team. Remus was content to sit in the stalls with his book, occasionally glancing up to watch the other three boys flitting back and forth on their brooms. They were all very good, but it was obvious even to Remus that James was the best of the three. He didn't even look like he needed a broom. The black-haired boy soared like a kestrel. His turns smooth, his dives nauseatingly sharp. Remus hadn't attended many Quidditch matches in his first year, but he felt sure that James would earn a place on the team. Sirius was much showier in his flying technique. He didn't lack James's skill so much as his discipline. Black appeared to get bored easily. He could go quite fast when he wanted to, but was more interested in looping and swerving dangerously than catching quaffles or repelling bludgers. He needed James to shout at him every few minutes to keep focused on the game. Peter was very competent after a summer of drills, but he was quite slow over long distances. James decided he might be better off as a keeper. You're acting as if you get to handpick the whole team. Sirius huffed as they headed back to the castle after one practice. They ought to let me. James shrugged, as if it was obvious. I'm better than at least half of our current team, and you're better than most beaters, and I know tactics. Just try not to be too shocked when they don't make you captain. Sirius rolled his eyes. You're still a second year. They weren't any second years on the team at all last year. Have some faith, Black. James winked, throwing his arm over his friend's shoulder. They strode ahead together, brooms in hand. The sun was setting behind them, and they threw everything into sharp relief, outlining the two dark-haired boys in heroic gold. Remus watched them, lagging behind and weighed down by his books, thinking that they would probably all be a little bit surprised if James didn't get exactly what he wanted. And that is this chapter. You know something really funny? I wasn't gonna upload anything on Thursday because I couldn't find anything. And then Friday morning, I remembered I had not recorded chapter 2 for one of the things I've already read like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was like, oh shoot. That would have been a really good thing to record. Like, remember that I needed to do. So, chapter 2 of, Strangely He Didn't Feel Like He Was Drowning Anymore will be up on Thursday. I'm so sorry for those of you who, like, wanted to hear the second chapter. I totally forgot there was a second chapter. I'm so sorry, but I love her. But, you know, at least I remembered. Me forgetting things is kind of a thing now. Yeah, plus school's also been really busy. Oh my gosh, I have so many projects to do. Yay. Well, anyways, remember to eat 3 meals a day and drink 64 ounces of water a day. And if you would like to, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment on what I should read next. I'm also still wondering if you guys would like me to release the chapters of Art Heist Baby periodically, update them or upload them on Thursday when I usually update upload my the one shots I read, or whatever you'd like me to do with that. And anyways, have a great rest of your day, and thank you for tuning in. Bye bye.